Ghislaine Maxwell has filed a motion in the 2015 defamation case brought against her by the late Virginia Giuffre, where Ghislaine Maxwell is now requesting a federal judge who previously presided over that case block 90,000 documents which have yet to be produced under the Epstein Transparency Act. And apparently these documents relate to depositions that Ghislaine Maxwell took in the Virginia Giuffre case, 90,000 potentially very devastating documents that are still being concealed by the Department of Justice, which have not yet been produced. And as I've been digging into some of the recent filings by Ghislaine Maxwell, I find them highly suspicious for a number of reasons that I want to discuss with you. And I believe that there is a concerted plan being implemented here with the Trump regime to try to make it appear that they're adversarial with the Department of Justice in kind of public filings, but in fact they're working hand in hand in concert with each other, in my opinion, as part of a operation, I believe, that was set up between Todd Blanche, Donald Trump's former criminal defense attorney turned number 2 at the Department of Justice, and Ghislaine Maxwell back when she was interviewed in Tallahassee over the summer, and then she was moved to the Club Fed facility in Camp Bryan, Texas. You know, it's notable to me that when Ghislaine Maxwell was deposed fairly recently by the House Oversight Committee, she had a lawyer by her side named David Oscar Marcus. So she has, and David Oscar Marcus is a top lawyer in the Florida area. He's like very close friends with Todd Blanche. He represents a lot of high profile people. He's a very expensive lawyer to hire, but he was the lawyer who announced at the beginning of Ghislaine's deposition before the House that she would be invoking her Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. And he was the guy who said, well, if Donald Trump just gives her a pardon or gives her a commutation, she'll say favorable things about Donald Trump. I have the receipts to that. I'll show you what his opening statement said, but he was the lawyer sitting with her. In this civil case involving Virginia Giuffre, who now recently died by suicide, but she filed a defamation case against Ghislaine Maxwell back in 2015 for statements that Ghislaine Maxwell was making about Giuffre, and then that case ultimately gathered information which helped lead to the criminal prosecution of Ghislaine Maxwell. In that case, apparently Ghislaine Maxwell still has lawyers, and top lawyers, top legal minds who charge a lot of money. I mean, I know this law firm. She's represented by 2 partners at this law firm. One is named Laura M over here. You see her over here. And Laura is a partner at this law firm. You can see right here. And she's on this pleading right here. There's Laura, and then there's Jeffrey Pagluccia, and the firm is Haddon, Morgan, and Foreman PC. They're a big firm in Colorado. Again, they charge high hourly rates. So she's represented by top lawyers in these situations. Why am I bringing this up? Ben, who cares that she's represented by big law firms or whatever? Because in another federal proceeding where she's filing a habeas petition, she claims she doesn't have the ability to hire a lawyer. She's kind of playing poverty, and she claims she can't hire anybody at all. And she was at first being represented by David Oscar Marcus there. He moved off of that case, but he's obviously still representing her in some capacity because he was before the House Oversight Committee. But the question ultimately becomes is, well, then why is she representing herself if she can apparently afford or finagle a way to get all of these lawyers representing her, especially in a 2015 defamation case involving Virginia Giuffre, where there's issues that have just arisen recently? Why doesn't she have a lawyer in her habeas petition? Because the fix is in. And I want to explain to you what's happening behind the scenes here. she's claiming before federal judge Engelmeyer in the Southern District of New York that she's pro-per. In other words, she can't find a lawyer and she plays poverty, that she's unable to do this and that she can't access the documents and she needs help. And if she just had really good legal minds, she may be able to file her habeas petition sooner, but she's just going to need additional time, Judge, because she's pro-per. In my opinion, she's being helped out. I don't know by which lawyers behind the scene, but in my opinion, lawyers are assisting her with her paperwork and her motions. That's just my opinion, of course. And she's saying that she's pro-per and she can't find lawyers to Judge Engelmeyer in connection with her habeas petition so that she could delay the proceedings there even further. Why does she want to delay the proceedings? Because she wants to be able to say, oh, I can't testify anywhere, so I'm going to have to keep invoking my Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination while I have this habeas petition that's pending. And then by trying to delay this towards the end of Donald Trump's term, I believe the fix is in that there's already a deal for Donald Trump to grant her clemency, either give her a pardon or a commutation. So she's going to try to drag this out as long as possible. And just so you know, she's already exhausted all of her appeals, right? She's a convicted child sex trafficker. She, in the case that went before Judge Engelmeyer, that other judge is no longer with us, is no longer there. Judge Engelmeyer took over the case. It's in the Southern District of New York, right? Maureen Comey, James Comey's daughter, was one of the top prosecutors in the Southern District of New York. She was the AUSA, Assistant U.S. Attorney, who prosecuted Ghislaine Maxwell. Maxwell was convicted. She was sentenced to 20 plus years in prison. She was put in that Tallahassee facility before being transferred over to the VIP facility in Camp Bryan, Texas. So you have that proceeding that took place in the Southern District of New York. She then appealed it to the Second Circuit Court of Appeal. They rejected her appeal. She then appealed to the United States Supreme Court. They rejected her appeal. So she's out of appeals. Any prisoner has the ability to file a habeas petition saying they're being unlawfully detained because there's new evidence that's out there, or they found some extraordinary information that wasn't available to them during the time of trial that would bear on their claim that they should be released from prison. So it's not a unique claim to her. It's not an appeal. She's done with appeals, but she's using this habeas petition, I believe a frivolous habeas petition, as a pretext to try to invoke the Fifth, or claim I still have to invoke my Fifth, which is total BS. Any lawyer knows that at this point, there's nothing to worry about self-incrimination because you've been incriminated. You were found guilty of child sex trafficking. Okay. But to me, this is all about delay, and ultimately her deal with Donald Trump to give her a commutation, or to grant her clemency, either a commutation or a pardon. Look at the filing that was recently made before Judge Engelmeyer in the Southern District of New York. He says, Judge Engelmeyer writes, on February 17, 2026, the pro se office in this district received a letter from Ghislaine Maxwell attached to this order as Exhibit A, the Maxwell letter. It requested inter alia just means among other things, further time to file an amended Section 2255 motion. That's basically her petition, her habeas petition, based on materials that the DOJ has released under the Epstein Files Transparency Act. And so she said, look, I'm pro-per, I need more time, please help me, and I don't have a lawyer, so I need more time, and I have to go through the millions of Epstein files that have been released because I believe this helps me, that this shows that I'm innocent. She actually argues that the release of the Epstein files, she thinks helps her and shows that she's innocent, when I think it makes her look far worse. I think